Emily!
My name is Emily Carter. I'm 29 years old, born and raised just outside Flagstaff, Arizona. I teach third grade at a public school. I'm addicted to vanilla cold brew, and I forget my keys more times than I'd like to admit. But there's one thing I never forgot: to wear my necklace. A sterling silver cross with a tiny ruby in the center. Nana Rose gave it to me on my 14th birthday. She pressed it into my hand with both of hers, eyes all glassy, and whispered, "This will keep you safe, baby. Don't ever take it off." And I didn't, not once, not for showers, not for sleep, not when I had strep throat, not when I was baptized. Not even during my appendectomy at 18, the surgeon actually taped it to my shoulder. I wore it like armor, and I wasn't exactly living like a nun. I skipped church some Sundays. I never really read my Bible unless I was going through something. But that necklace, it made me feel okay, like it was covering the gaps, filling in the spiritual blanks. A little divine insurance policy hanging around my neck. I clutched it during every breakup, every panic attack, every "please God, just let me pass this test." It was my proof, my pass, my way of saying, "See, I'm yours. I wear the cross. I belong." And deep down, I judge people who didn't wear one. I mean, how reckless, right? Walking around without a cross on, like you're just out here spiritually naked. I honestly thought I was safer than most people just because of that necklace. But what I didn't realize was that I had confused wearing the cross with carrying it. Two very different things. Hey, before I go any deeper, I want to ask you something. Have you ever worn a cross? Do you wear one now? Why do you wear it? Drop it in the comments. I don't care if it's gold plastic tattooed on your arm or hanging from your rearview mirror. Tell me your why. Because what I'm about to share might challenge it. It might wreck it, or it might deepen it in ways you never expected. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. We don't just talk about faith, we confront it. Head on, with honesty, with scars showing. Because what happened to me wasn't just a wake-up call, it was a resurrection. This is not just another near-death story. This is about symbols, and the dangerous comfort they give us when they become replacements for surrender. Let me take you back. It was a Tuesday, just a normal, nothing special Tuesday. I had just finished a math lesson on fractions. My kids were wild from recess. I had marker stains on my fingers, and my mind was bouncing between grading spelling tests and what I had in my fridge for dinner. I climbed into my car, turned on some Lauren Daigle. Light turned green. I pulled into the intersection. And that's when everything changed. But hold on, we're not there yet. Because before we talk about the accident, before we talk about the place I went to, before we get into the part where I met Jesus, yeah, that happened, I need you to understand where I was. Not just physically, but spiritually. Because I thought I was fine, like a lot of people do. I believed in God. I prayed sometimes. I volunteered at the church bake sale. I shared Christian quotes on my Instagram story during Easter. I wore the cross. Wasn't that enough? I mean, come on. I wasn't out here murdering people or starting cults. I loved my students. I tried to be kind. I said "God bless you" when people sneezed. But underneath all that was this quiet, gnawing distance. I didn't really know God. I knew about Him. I had the vocabulary. I had the aesthetics. But intimacy, surrender, sacrifice. Not really. I used my necklace to feel safe. I used it like a shield when what I needed was a savior. And here's the hard truth I learned: you can wear the cross and still be lost. And if that stings, it should. But don't click away. Because this story, it's about grace. It's about being seen. It's about the God who meets us even in our pretending and calls us into something deeper, better, real. So stay with me, because the day I died was the day I started to live. And it all started with that necklace. That little cross around my neck that I thought made me safe, made me righteous, made me His. But that Tuesday proved something I wasn't ready to admit. That necklace couldn't save me. And in the next breath, I was about to find out what could. The light turned green. I remember that part so clearly. It was just green. Not flashing, not dramatic. Just a calm little circle saying "go," so I did. I pulled forward through the intersection, my mind still on leftover chicken and whether I had almond milk left for coffee in the morning. And then sound. Not just one sound. 1,000 at once. Metal shrieking, glass shattering. A scream minds someone else's, and then silence. But not the kind of silence that means everything's okay. The kind that means it's all stopped. I didn't feel the impact, not really. I didn't feel pain. It was like blinking, and when I opened my eyes again, I wasn't in the car. I was above it, floating, suspended in this eerie stillness, watching the wreck from a few feet, maybe a few miles. It was hard to tell. There was my car, or what was left of it. Folded metal, broken glass, smoke curling into the sky like a question mark. I saw my own body slumped sideways across the seat, airbag deflated, blood trickling down the side of my face, and the cross still on my neck, but I was not in it. It's the strangest thing seeing your own body. You think you'll freak out. You think you'll scream, panic, beg for help. But I didn't, because somehow I knew I wasn't supposed to be in it anymore. I hovered there in this space between worlds. Not fully dead, not fully alive. Time felt broken, like it wasn't ticking forward or backward, just pausing. And then I felt something, a presence, like the air itself had changed. It wasn't cold, it wasn't warm, it was holy. The kind of presence that makes your breath catch even when you're not breathing anymore. I turned, if turning is what you do when you don't have a body, and suddenly I wasn't floating over the crash anymore. I was standing somewhere else. It was a place, but it didn't look like Earth. Didn't look like anything I'd ever seen in dreams or movies. The air shimmered like it was alive. Colors moved through the sky like music. Soft gold, deep violet, a kind of blue that didn't exist in the real world. Everything felt weightless and full of weight at the same time. And the silence, it wasn't empty, it was electric, like the air before thunder, like a breath held by the universe itself. And then I saw him. I didn't need anyone to tell me who he was. I just knew. Jesus, not the painting version, not the storybook image from Sunday school. No flowing blonde hair, no glowing halo. Just him. Plain robe, darker skin than I expected. Eyes that carried galaxies. When he looked at me, I knew he knew everything. Every moment, every secret I thought I buried. Every silent prayer, every bitter thought I never confessed. And yet,
Samantha.
He said, oh no, that wasn't my name anymore.
Emily.
The way he said it, like it was the first time it had ever been spoken. Like it had always been mine, and I had just forgotten it. And for the first time in my life, I felt completely, fully, terrifyingly seen. I reached for my necklace. The cross was still there, still resting above where my heart should be. I clutched it like a shield, like a kid holding a teddy bear in a thunderstorm. I wore it every day. I blurted out, my voice trembling in the space around us. I never took it off, not once. He stepped closer, his gaze never leaving mine.
I know.
Tears stung my eyes. So, that means I'm yours, right? I belong to you. He looked at me, not with judgment, not with fury, just honesty.
It means what your heart made it mean.
I froze. The cross, it wasn't magic. It didn't protect me. And somehow he knew. I just realized it.
It didn't need to.
He said gently.
I was always there, even when you forgot me.
I began to shake. But I believed in you, I whispered. I had faith.
You had symbols.
The words didn't cut. They revealed. And then, as if reading my thoughts, because maybe he was, Jesus reached out. Not to me, to the necklace. The little silver cross began to glow. Brighter and brighter, until it lifted from my chest, suspended in midair like a flame frozen in time. And then it began to spin. Faster and faster. The light shifting, bending, becoming something else. A doorway.
Come.
He said,
There's something you need to see.
And before I could blink or breathe or ask what, the world shimmered, and I was pulled in, through the necklace, through the light, into something deeper than I ever imagined. I don't know what I expected heaven to look like. Maybe clouds, angels with harps, giant gates. But where I found myself was something I couldn't describe, not with earthly words. It was vast, endless, not empty but not crowded either. No floor beneath me, yet I was standing. No ceiling above me, yet I felt held. The very air shimmered like light had learned how to breathe. And it wasn't just beautiful, it was alive. Every color pulsed. Every movement felt intentional, nothing accidental, nothing wasted. And at the center of it all, crosses. Thousands of them, suspended in midair, some glowing like stars, some cracked bleeding light, some wrapped in chains, some twisted into thorns. each one spinning slowly in place, orbiting in this galaxy of faith and failure. And every single one was different. I turned to Jesus. "What is this?" He didn't speak right away, he just looked at the crosses, at me, and then
These
he said,
are the crosses people carry, not the ones they wear, but the ones they live.
I took a step forward. One floated near me, golden, glowing, warm. Inside it, I saw a woman, kneeling beside a hospital bed, clutching a rosary, whispering prayers through tears. "She never took it off," I said softly.
More importantly,
He replied.
she never forgot what it meant.
Another cross drifted by. Silver, elegant, refined. Inside, a man on stage, preaching, hands raised, voice booming. I smiled, at first, until I looked closer. The inside of the cross was hollow. Jesus didn't need to explain.
He used my name,
He said gently,
but not my ways.
and just like that, I started to understand. These crosses weren't decorations. They were records, living testimonies of how people treated the weight of the gospel. Some carried it through fire. Some polished it to hide the cracks. Some dropped it and pretended they never had it. And some used it like a weapon. I saw a diamond-studded cross sparkling like a trophy. Inside boardrooms, private jets, cameras flashing. Next to it another shaped like a dagger. Inside protests, shouting, hatred cloaked in righteousness. Then I saw one wrapped in Bible verses, but the words had turned into chains, binding the one who wore it. Jesus watched quietly, his eyes heavy, not angry, but grieved. And then I saw mine. It floated toward me, glowing faintly, not bright, not dark, just conflicted. Inside it, I saw my life. Me at 14, putting it on like armor. Me in college, clutching it during panic attacks. Me praying in traffic. Lord, get me there on time. Me on the bathroom floor, sobbing, holding it so tightly it left a mark. I looked down, my hand still gripping the real one. I turned to Jesus, ashamed. I thought wearing it made me right with you. He nodded slowly.
You thought it was the proof.
Wasn't it, I asked?
No,
He said.
it was the reminder, the symbol, not the seal.
That cut deeper than judgment ever could, because it was true. I wore it like a badge, like it made me holy, like it did the work I was unwilling to do. I judged others who didn't wear one, called them reckless, lukewarm. But I was the one hiding behind silver. Jesus stepped closer.
Many have confused the cross as an accessory, with the cross as a calling.
I looked around again. Some crosses were burning alive with love. Some smoldered, neglected, but not abandoned. Some were wrapped in barbed wire, oozing pain like open wounds. What about those? I whispered. Jesus pointed to a cross almost too beautiful to describe. Handcrafted wood, polished, golden edges, intricate designs, perfect. But it was upside down. He didn't speak at first, just stared. Then finally,
That one
he said,
is worn by those who loved the idea of me, but rejected the cost.
and just like that, I broke. I had loved the comfort, the feeling, the vibe of Christianity, but I had avoided the dying. I had avoided the cross. I stood there surrounded by crosses, glorious, broken, beautiful, dangerous. Each one whispering a story. But mine hovered there like a question I didn't want answered. I stared at it, heart sinking, because deep down I knew that cross wasn't a lie. But it wasn't a life either. It was a beginning I never moved past. A baby step I wore like a crown. I thought about teenage me standing in the mirror, adjusting it like makeup, telling myself I was covered because I had a cross, not realizing I was clinging to comfort and calling it faith. I thought about how I'd let it represent my belief, but not transform it. And Jesus, he just stood beside me, still, quiet, gentle. He didn't rush me, he let me see. Every skipped Sunday, every gossip session I excused as venting, every homeless person I walked past while adjusting the chain around my neck, and every time I judged someone else for not wearing one, for having tattoos, for raising their hands too high, or not at all. Because I wore the cross, so clearly I must be doing better. I whispered, I thought it was enough.
You wanted to believe,
He said softly.
and I loved you for that, but belief without surrender is just sentiment.
That wrecked me, because it was true. I didn't want to carry a cross, I wanted to display one. I didn't want to die to myself. I wanted to look spiritual. I wanted the symbol, not the sacrifice. My fingers curled around the cross again, realizing for the first time how small it was, how light, how easy it had been to wear. I looked at Jesus, tears burning my eyes. I was trying. I didn't know what I was doing.
You wore me.
That sentence shattered me, because deep down, I knew he was right. I had worn Jesus like a label, like a bumper sticker on a car going nowhere. But I hadn't lived like someone who believed him. I believed in him, sure. But believe what he said about loving enemies, about forgiving 70 times 7, about laying down your life, that was harder. That required surrender, obedience, actual change. I dropped to my knees, right there in that glowing gallery of crosses. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "I thought it was enough. I didn't mean to use you like a good luck charm." Jesus knelt beside me, placing his hand on my shoulder. No condemnation, no lecture, just presence.
But you didn't follow me.
He said.
You were always loved.
I wept, not because I was ashamed, but because I had been so blind. I thought I was walking in truth. I was really just posing in a symbol. And the world around me had let me. Because I looked Christian, I wore the right things, said the right phrases, attended the right events. But inside, I was brittle, fragile, empty. Jesus looked into my eyes, and with the voice of a father, not a judge, he said,
Even when you misunderstood me.
"The necklace. It wasn't the problem. It was what I hid behind it. My pride, my passivity, my unwillingness to step into real intimacy with God."
It's what you used it to avoid.
He said.
The symbol reminds.
And just like that, something shifted. I didn't need to be punished. I needed to be freed. Freed from the belief that looking saved was the same as being saved. Freed from the idea that visible faith meant living faith. Freed from the addiction to appearances. I had mistaken the accessory for the altar. And now I saw the difference. One requires nothing but style. The other requires everything you are. I looked up at him, this time with resolve. "Can I carry the real one now?" He smiled.
But only surrender transforms.
And suddenly all the crosses began to fade. Not disappear, just transform. Like they had done their job. Like they had delivered the message. And now the real journey could begin.
You already are. You said yes, when you let me show you.
The gallery of crosses dissolved into light. At first I thought it was over, that I had seen all Jesus wanted to show me. But then the light shifted, parted, and I was standing in a church. Not just any church. My church. The wooden pews, the crooked baptism painting with Jesus, and the sheep. The scent of old hymnals and lemon-scented cleaner. It was exactly as I remembered. Except this wasn't memory, not exactly. The pews were filled with people, but not just anyone. They were from different pieces of my life. Sunday school teachers, youth pastors, my high school boyfriend's mom. My grandma Nana Rose sitting right where she always did with her velvet Bible and peppermint candies. And then I saw me, 17 years old, wearing that same little silver cross, sitting straight, smiling, nodding along to the sermon, trying to look holy. But I knew what was under the surface. Even then I was already slipping. Jesus stood beside me. "Watch," he said. The pastor stepped up to preach. He was passionate, confident. He spoke about the cross, about how wearing it was a declaration, a testimony. Everyone nodded, said amen, clapped. And I watched as my younger self reached up, touched the necklace, smiled. Not because I felt closer to Jesus, but because I looked like I did.
She thought she was covered.
Jesus said gently.
Because she wore the symbol.
I swallowed hard. Then the scene shimmered, shifted. Another Sunday, I was in my 20s, still wearing the necklace, but this time hungover. I had gone out the night before. Things happened that I didn't want to remember, and now I sat in the back pew, sunglasses on, hiding, avoiding eye contact, avoiding conviction, but I was still wearing the cross. No one asked questions. No one noticed the dullness in my spirit. No one offered to pray. Jesus whispered.
And that made them feel safe.
Jesus said gently.
Symbols comfort people more than truth does. They saw the cross on you and assumed the inside matched the outside. But no one asked, no one invited. They just assumed.
And I saw myself slumped in that pew, breaking inside, but held together by a chain around my neck. Then the image cracked, shattered, like glass. The church peeled back, and underneath it layers of unseen realities, moments I had missed. I saw the youth leader warning girls not to dress too worldly, while secretly battling pornography. I saw the deacon who gave loud prayers at the altar and then screamed at his wife in the car afterward. I saw the Bible study leader who gossiped about tattooed kids behind their backs while refusing to speak to her own sister for 20 years. I saw myself walking past a homeless man outside the church, clutching my cross, muttering I'm late for worship. Jesus looked at me, not with fury, not with rage, but grief.
Do you see it now?
I nodded, voice shaking. We wore you like decoration, like identity, like insurance. He knelt beside me.
You wore me.
He said again quietly.
But you didn't follow me.
And that was the moment I broke. I collapsed to the ground of that not church, weeping into my hands. The weight of it all, my pride, my hypocrisy, my blindness, it crushed me. I wanted to believe I choked. I really did. I thought I was doing enough. Jesus placed his hand on my back. Warm, real.
But you didn't believe me.
He said,
Believing in me says I exist. Believing me means trusting what I said enough to live it.
I looked up. What does that mean?
I tried.
And there it was. I had believed in the idea of Jesus. I had believed in salvation. But not in surrender. Not enough to change. Why didn't you stop me? I asked, barely a whisper. Why didn't you show me sooner? He looked at me with unspeakable compassion.
Through people, through silence, through interruptions. But you were busy holding the symbol, hoping it would do the work of the sacrifice.
I sobbed. Because that was me. I wanted the benefits of grace without the discomfort of obedience. I wanted Jesus the Savior, but not Jesus the Lord. And now finally, I understood. Everything inside me, shattered and rebuilt in the same breath. The grief, the clarity, the mercy, I wasn't being punished. I was being purified. It wasn't shame that broke me, it was truth wrapped in love. Jesus didn't lecture me, he loved me awake. And for the first time, I didn't just feel regret, I felt readiness. Readiness to carry the real cross, not the jewelry, not the label, but the weight. I want to start over, I whispered, really start. Not just say I'm yours, but live like I am. Jesus knelt beside me.
Then start.
He said.
Start with yes. Start with now.
And with those words, the not church, the layered memories, the gallery of crosses, all of it began to fade, like mist in morning sunlight. And something inside me shifted. A release, like I had been holding my breath for years, and now I could finally exhale. The space around me shimmered. Light poured in from every direction. It didn't blind me, it held me. And I thought maybe this is it. Maybe I stay here now. But then pain. Bright, stabbing, searing. Like crashing through layers of light. Voices, hands, monitors beeping. A voice like it was underwater, Emily. Emily, can you hear me? I blinked. Blurry ceiling tiles, fluorescent lights, the sterile smell of a hospital. I gasped for breath. My chest ached. Every inch of my body screamed. And then my mom's face, mascara running down her cheeks. Her hand gripped mine like it was the only real thing in the world. You're back, she whispered. You flatlined for 9 minutes, but you came back. Tears blurred my vision. Not from pain, from knowing. I had died, and I had been seen, and now I had been sent back. Not because I deserved it, but because I was finally ready to live it. The nurses moved around me, checking vitals. Voices buzzed like flies. I was in the world again. But something inside me had changed forever. When they finally removed the oxygen tube, I croaked the first thing that came to my mind. Where's my necklace? The nurse looked uneasy. It broke in the crash. EMTs found it in 2 pieces on the road. I'm so sorry. I nodded, quietly, not sad, not angry. Just still, because now I understood something I never had before. That cross was never supposed to save me. It was supposed to point me. But for too long, I wore it like armor, thinking it made me righteous. Thinking it made me safe. Thinking it made me his. While ignoring the God it was meant to remind me of. Now, I carry something else. Not around my neck, but inside my chest. A fire, a conviction, a decision. I don't want to just wear the cross anymore. I want to walk like the one who carried it. And it's not easy. I still fight the urge to judge. I still catch myself reaching for symbols when I should be reaching for surrender. I still want to appear spiritual, instead of actually living surrendered. But now, I know what I'm aiming for. Not appearances, but obedience. Not spiritual aesthetic, but actual Christ-likeness. Not a chain around my neck, but a crown at his feet. I came back different, awake, alive in a way I had never been before. And I carry a message now not just for Christians, but for comfortable Christians, the ones like me, the ones who wear the cross, but don't carry it. So if you're still listening, if you're still here with me, then maybe you're one of them. One of us. The ones who thought we were covered, because we said the right things, wore the right things, posted the right verses, went to the right church. The ones who thought belief was enough, that wearing the cross was enough. But deep down, we knew something was missing. We sang the songs, but we didn't sacrifice. We raised our hands, but we never laid down our lives. I say this in love. That necklace wasn't faith. It was just metal, just a symbol. And when my heart used it as a substitute for surrender, it became a wall between me and the real Jesus. So here's the truth. You can wear the cross and still be lost. You can have the Bible app, the bumper sticker, the playlist, the I'm blessed vocabulary, and still be walking in disobedience, still be clinging to comfort, still be avoiding the weight of what Jesus actually said. And maybe that scares you. Maybe you're sitting there whispering, "That's me." Then friend, hear me, you're not condemned. You're being called into something deeper, wider, more beautiful than church performance and religious hustle, called into love, into death, and resurrection.
I didn't die to decorate you.
Jesus whispered to my spirit once,
I died to transform you.
So transform me, Lord. Transform us. Burn away the performance, the pride, the pretending, and teach us to carry you not like an accessory, but like a fire. And if you've never worn a cross in your life, if you've never stepped foot inside a church, if you've always felt like you weren't good enough to belong, let me tell you this, some of the most faithful people in heaven won't be the ones with crosses on their necks. They'll be the ones who carried it silently, painfully through hospital rooms, lonely nights, and messy repentance. They'll be the ones who fed the hungry quietly, who forgave when no one else could, who stayed when it was hard, who gave when it hurt. They'll be the ones who looked nothing like the world's idea of Christian, but everything like Christ. I saw a man once in my final vision before I came back. No cross on his shirt, no Bible in his hand, just him, feeding his dying mother soup. Tears in his eyes, and floating above him a glowing cross unseen by the world. Jesus pointed to him and said,
He walks with me, even though no one sees it.
That image wrecked me, because I had spent years trying to appear close to God. And he had actually walked with him, invisible faith, but not fake. So here's my message. To the one hiding in the pew with a hangover, to the girl clinging to a necklace like it's enough, to the boy trying to earn God's love through perfection, to the mom, the addict, the skeptic, the preacher's kid, you are not too far gone, you are not too late. If you're still breathing, you can still say yes. You can still let the symbol go and pick up the sacrifice. You can stop performing and start walking. You don't need a silver chain to prove you're His. The proof is in how you live, how you forgive, how you speak, how you serve, how you love. That's the cross that matters. So now when people ask me why I don't wear my necklace anymore, I tell them this because I carry something heavier now, something real, something holy. I carry Him, not on my chest, but in my choices, not in metal, but in mercy, not in appearance, but in action. I still have the broken necklace. I keep it in a drawer, as a reminder, not of what protected me, but of what didn't. It couldn't save me, but it did wake me up. And if this story wakes you up too, then don't let it stop at emotion. Let it move you to surrender, to obedience, to resurrection. Because once you've seen the real Jesus, the weight of the cross will never feel the same, and you'll never want to go back. If this story stirred something in you, if it made you pause, reflect, or even weep, don't just scroll past. Say something, share something, surrender something. Drop a comment and tell me, are you wearing the cross or carrying it? And if you're ready to walk deeper, to live fully, to stop pretending and actually follow Jesus, then hit that subscribe button right now. This channel isn't about clicks, it's about callings, and you've got one. Share this video with someone you love, someone who needs to hear this truth, because you might be the one who helps them stop performing and start walking. This isn't the end of my story, and it doesn't have to be the end of yours either. Let's carry the cross together.